Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Brooklyn Triathlon Club Swimming Online. This morning, we have a new and challenging workout for you, and I'm going to run through it right now before we get started. First, we're going to start with a warm-up similar to what we did last week, where we've got 30 seconds of swimming, followed by 30 seconds of kicking in different positions, working on postural cues. And we're going to run through that 6 or 7 times to get a solid 10-minute warm-up, kind of like a kick swim in the pool. Then we're going to get into a new main set. The main set is going to be a series of descending swims, and we are going to descend in pace and stroke rate. So I'm going to be using a tempo trainer, which is a device that you sometimes see at a pool. It looks like this. It is a metronome for swimming, and sounds something like that. A tiny little beep, but it tells you when to take a stroke, and it can keep you on target in terms of arm turnover. So we are going to work with those to increase the rate of our arm turnover through our main set repeats. And how that's going to go is we're going to be at one rate for a minute. I'm going to take about 5 seconds to change that rate, make it a little faster for another minute. Then I'm going to take 5 seconds, make it a little faster, and go for a third minute, followed by a minute of a body weight strength training exercise. Then we're going to run through that 6 to 7 times for a total of 30 minutes on the main set. So all told, we've got our 10-minute warm-up, our 30-minute main set, for 40 total minutes of swimming and strength training. So it's a nice mix. There's not a lot of rest involved, usually only about 5 or 10 seconds, so it'll keep your heart rate up. It's a good aerobic workout in addition to strength and technique. So I hope you like it. All right, so let's get started with our warm-up. I'm going to start with double arm pulls, flattening my lower back. A relatively low extended position just as my arms get loose. I'm going to move into a face-up kick. What I'm doing here is I'm going to try to put my lower back flat on the ground, tuck my chin, my legs, abs in tight, just cycle my legs. And back up for round 2. I'm going to stay with double arm pulls. Now I did our standard warm-up of arm swings and active stretches before I began. So you'll be expected to do that, on your own from this point forward in the posted videos. And you can just refer back to the warm-up video to see everything that we do there. This time we'll go face down again, and pulling my lower abs in. Straightening my legs, working, lift my thighs off the ground, use my hips to do that. Round 3, I'll stick with double arm. Loose on the front end, flat in the back, pulling. And we're back to face up kicking again. Abs in tight, lower back flat, chin tucked. Rolling the hips back. Now let's move to single arm pulls. Still focused on a nice, easy front end of the stroke. Flattening the back, starting to reach a little higher. Always looking out at an angle because that would be the bottom of the pool. Face up again on kicking. Chin tucked here. Abs in tight here. Flatten in the back. Lifting the thighs off the ground. Using the hip and some hamstring. Let's stick with single arm pulls for rep number 5 and focus on the recoveries. And what's closer to a catch-up stroke. Lift and reach. Lift and reach. Lift and reach. And we're back to face up. Why would we work on posture? Well, for one, it's one thing that you can really focus on in open water to keep you on the straight and narrow, core engagement, flat body position, being able to swim through waves instead of being tossed around by them. And you always want your kick to be right behind your body, not down below your body. All right, last set of pulls in the warm-up set. Remember, I'm trying to keep my legs in the shadow of my body. If it's this difficult to do it on dry land when you know your frame of reference and you know where your legs are, you can imagine how tough it is to keep them there when you're in the water. You really have to learn, especially as an adult swimmer, how to engage the hips and the hamstrings to keep the legs up behind you. Otherwise, the muscles that get short when we sit will pull your knees down. So now we're starting. I have my tempo trainer running. You may not be able to hear it. It's very quiet. I can hear it. You can work from my tempo as I go through the set. We're starting at a 1.2 seconds per pull rate. That's about 50 strokes per minute. We're going to start in about 5 seconds. Here we go. First round. Right away, you can tell that this is a faster rate than what we've been doing in past workouts. When you put yourself on the clock, it changes things. Okay, that's the first part of that repeat. Now I'm going to drop my time down to 1.15 seconds per stroke, which is 52.2 strokes per minute. It's a little faster. Here we go. It's not a lot faster, but you can feel it. One of my main considerations as I'm doing this is still to keep the front end of my stroke slow. So I'm extending into the position overhead, relatively quick, which means the back end of my stroke is also accelerating, and it should be. All right, now I'm going to drop it down to 1.1 seconds per stroke, 54.54 strokes per minute. Ready? I'm accelerating once I get to this point in the stroke. Once I get here, then I can accelerate, but not before. Because from here to here is pretty slow. And I'll get back on rhythm. Very good. Now we're going to move into a backward lunge for our first body weight exercise. I'm going to be keeping the weight mostly over the front leg as I step back as far as I can, and then I'll apply some weight to the back leg. Here we go. I'm thinking about bringing my shoulders back. Now I'm going to switch legs. Staying nice and tall, right over my hips. Trying to keep this knee steady. If there is some movement there, and I can see it, some weakness. See that right there? Work to be done. And here we go with round 2. Ready? And go. The tempo trainer really keeps me on target. And I'm reaching as straight as I can, right overhead. Catching up there. Getting back on the rhythm. And now we'll switch to 1.15. And go for another minute. Ready? And go. Accelerating my hand into the extended position to be ready for the next catch. And you can imagine that that is the position that you're in for most of your side kicking drills. Those of you that do sideline kick drills, you want to be able to get to that position in time to maintain stroke rate. When we start to get tired in the pool or in a swim, we are lazy getting back to that point, and then the next stroke starts later and our stroke rate drops. Now we're going to drop it down to 1.1 seconds per pull, 54.54 strokes per minute. Go. I'm pulling my abs in tight while I'm doing this. Now we're going to do some single leg squats. So I'm focused on just staying balanced on one leg. I'm going to drop down on one leg for 30 seconds, then move to the other leg for 30 seconds. Trying to keep nice and tall. I'm pushing my hips back as I drop down. And I can see my leg, my knee, moving around a little bit as I do these. Certainly not perfect work to be done, but I'm excited to be getting this movement into our routine, because I'd like to be able to put my butt down onto my heel and drop all the way down into a low squat and come back up. All right, here we go for a third round. I'm going to go from an incline position, incline attachment. Again, this is starting out 1.2 seconds per pull or 50 strokes per minute. Ready? And go. I'm working to keep my back flat, reach high, and look out at an angle. Good. Now I'll make the change to 1.15. Ready? And go. And of course you may not be able to hear the beep, but you can follow along with my cadence. Again, I'm accelerating toward the front of the stroke, but dropping in slowly to the catch. Then I'm going to knock it down to 1.1. For the final round. Ready, and go. And the cadence has gotten a little easier as I've gotten into the set, and my body gets used to it. Reach, reach high. So now we're going to do what Dave Salo calls a posterior chain exercise. Works all the musculature and a lot of the range of motion through the back, just like you'll use it in swimming. Really strengthens the back of your body from your head down to your hips and your hamstrings. Here's how it goes. And we're going to do 5 repetitions in each direction. So it starts out Superman. And I'm passing this disc around. You can use a book or a very light weight. Okay, one direction down. Now we get back into Superman position and other direction. As you can see, it works all the muscles of your back from top to bottom, works your hips and your hamstrings in the same way that we were when we were doing the face down kicking. So it's all working to keep your body in a line, working to keep your legs up when you're kicking, working to keep your body at the surface. Now I'm going to go back to my vertical attachment. Let's get the tempo trainer set to 1.2 seconds per stroke. Ready, and go. Tougher to reach in this attachment because I'm reaching straight overhead the last bit there with no help from the bands. And we'll reset down to 1.15. Ready? And go. Let's add some breathing into the mix. And there, I am working to keep returning my head in line with my body before I take the next stroke. Final shift down to 1.1 seconds per stroke. Ready? Go. Still working to reach, extend, get in close to my head. Have that nice, easy catch. But to make that work, I've got to be in position at the front end of the stroke. As I take quicker strokes with my arms, my breathing pattern has to get faster. Now let's move into a plank with leg lifts. So lower abs tight, back flat, lifting. Working on keeping my legs straight, using my hip and my hamstring to move that leg up. Now let's go back to the angle attachment. So now let's go back to the angle attachment. Ready and go. Flattening my back, extending high, looking out at an angle. Reach, reach, reach. and make the switch to 1.15. We're right around 52 strokes per minute. Ready and go. I'm really working hard to try to keep my back flat, focused on extending, keeping my hips steady. Final round at 1.1. Ready and go. I'm just going to lean into this one. And really force myself to work my back and my shoulders on the lift to get straight and even with my body and keep it in line with my body. Three, two, one. Done with that round. Now we're going to do what's called a chest punch. We're going to be lying down arms straight overhead, and we're going to use just the chest muscles to lift the shoulder blades up off the ground. And they're going to roll around the outside of the back. I'm going to do about 20 of these. You may have done shoulder retractions before, where you're pulling your shoulder blades in together. And you may remember from our warm-up sessions that we're squeezing our shoulder blades in tight, pulling them back. This is the opposite of that. All right, final round, final descent. Let's get our tempo trainer back up to 1.2. seconds per stroke. Ready and go. And ideally, when I take that breath and come back into position, I want to be able to see my extended arm as it's making its catch. There are some really great videos out there of Michael Phelps as he demonstrates this point and gets his head back into position very quickly. And we shift it down to 1.15, 52.2 strokes per minute. Ready, go. Got to take that left side breath that I'm not usually doing. Reach, 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 extend, accelerate, accelerate, accelerate to finish the stroke and to enter the water out front. And our last shift down to 1.1 seconds per pull. Ready, and go. Remember, easy catch. And I'm going to focus this time. I'm trying to keep my head super steady and let my body roll. Reach, reach, and done with that final repeat. We're going to finish with a reprise of the kicking work that we did previously. This postural work was developed by a coach named Richard Quick. And he always credits like Bill Boomer, and he had help with his amazing video Posture on and Balance from Milton Elms. Really great stuff. Abs in tight, lower abs flat, and kicking. We're going to get 30 seconds. Face up, 30 seconds. Face down. Keep trying to roll the hips back. Get the lower back stable and flat. Not easy to do, but it's doable. Flip it over. Abs in tight. Lifting the quads off the ground. Abs in, thighs up. Nice workout this morning. Hope you had fun, and I look forward to seeing you here again soon.